Okay folks, welcome back to another Sathos Restores. As you may remember from my last video, I got this Black & Decker kit. Oh, let's see if we can have a little view of it. There we go. And yeah, we sort of went over the basics of what's in there. And today, I thought we'd go over giving the drill a little bit of a clean up. It's in pretty good condition. I've plugged it in, checked it works, and it seems fine. I will do another video on what I had to go through to remove that. Suffice to say, you're about to see me take it off by hand. It didn't come off that easily. But yeah, so let's just get into the second video on the series of this Black & Decker setup that I've got. So we're going to take off the chuck. Important to have it in low gear. If it's in high gear, you'll just wind up spinning the motor. But yeah, so that's off now. I think I'm going to replace this with a keyless chuck. It's very easily done. I only really want the chuck for when I get the pillar drill attachment. Otherwise, this is going to be an attachment drill, mostly used for running a grindstone. But yeah, the chuck's in fairly rough condition. It's quite clear someone's tried to use pump handle pliers or Stilsons or something to take this off. Made in England, back when that used to mean something about quality. But yeah, it's quite rough. It's grindy. Some of the teeth are uneven. The holes are a bit knackered. It's just not worth it. It functions, but that's as far as it goes. So yeah, then after that we'll have a little overview of the drill. It's not too bad. I cleaned in there yesterday just to see what it looked like when I took the chuck off. So full disclosure, but I have not cleaned anything else. I just have a rough idea of the state things are in. So I think for the moment, rather than do any instantaneous dismantling, we're going to start with microfiber cloth and just good old baby wipes, and we're just going to get some of the crud off from around the front end of this poor thing. So just going to go over and give it a wipe. This is going to be a functioning tool, not some museum piece, so I just want it clean. It's very much been stored for years by the look of it, so I just want it clean again, starting from a good base point, shall we say. So I'm going to go over here. There's lots of caked in muck around there. I'll just take off as much as I can with this, and then I might move over to other methods. I've got a paintbrush here that I can wrap in a cloth or a wipe just to get into some of the trickier, harder to reach areas. And the stuff will come off. It's just years of sort of grease and grime. Might be worth using is get one of these. Pop this out from my screwdriver set, because I'm going to need a flat bladed screwdriver anyway to pull this apart. So I think what I might do is just go straight for that, and just being gentle. I'm not trying to scratch the drill housing itself, though this is very good quality paint, original paint on it, that I would say was most likely powder based. I forget what it's called now. Powder coated. Of course, that's what it's called. It's powder coated. Yes, this was almost certainly a powder coating that was done. So I'm not too worried about scratching it. I can afford to be a little eager with it, shall we say. And again, I'm not too worried about making the odd scratch, because I'm not going for museum quality here. I just want it clean. So I'm going to go in here, scrape out, try and keep it on camera, try and scrape out just as much as I can, because once I've scraped that top layer off, what's left underneath will be easier to clean out with a wipe anyway. I reckon there's loads underneath there. A lot of it's just coming away in chunks, to be honest. Look at that. Looks like probably a mixture of sawdust and gearbox grease from the drill itself, having seen what the grease in there looks like. For reference, and I'll probably show you in a moment, but the inside of this drill is actually in pretty good condition. It will look grottier than it actually is. anyone who understands these things will know that you know, grease ends up looking grotty for a reason, and it's a good reason. It means it's keeping all of that dust and stuff out of the gears itself. And certainly this drill is well packed with grease. There's no real reason to mess with that. Certainly no good reason. So that's actually a scratch in the paint. That's fine. Just trying to make sure I've got everything off from around these screws. It looks more disgusting than it is. It doesn't carry any particular odour or anything. It's just from years of being what it is. It's a tool. Tools get dirty over years. Not sure how old this one is. I forgot to research that actually. I wonder if it actually says on here at all. Let's have a look. Doesn't look like it, does it? For service, see the yellow pages. Back when that was the UK's phone book, was the yellow pages, and you'd look in there for a drill repair and service technician, or whatever their job title was, or just some kind of electrical service technician. Such jobs do still exist today, of course, but you wouldn't be checking the yellow pages. These days it'd be Google, wouldn't it? Yeah, some of this stuff's going to require maybe something a little more aggressive to get it off. I'm not sure I'm that fussed, to be honest. So I just want it mostly clean. It's going to be used in a fairly clean environment. I don't have a workshop, at least not in this house, not until we perhaps move, whenever that may be, not anytime soon. So for the moment it's used in a fairly clean environment and won't be getting a lot of heavy use because of that, because it'll be used in my front room or perhaps out on my doorstep, because I don't have a garden where I am. Yeah, I think some of this might actually be better served. Now it's dampened a little with the wipe. Some of this might be better served being a little rough with a microfiber cloth, and just sort of really getting in there and attacking it a little bit. I forgot to do around this screw, didn't I? Well, we can fix that pretty quickly. And you may ask, sort of, how do you know when clean enough is clean enough? When do you stop? And for me personally, it'll be just when I've honestly had enough of cleaning it for the moment, because, apologies for knocking the camera. So it's one of those things, it's going to be a tool in use. If I was going for more museum quality, then of course I would put a lot more effort into cleaning it. But, this tool, it's not new old stock. It does have scratches and wear marks all over it where it's had a life, it's been used. So getting it to that kind of a museum show quality would require stripping and repainting it anyway. It's just not worth it for me. So I just want to make sure I'm not going to get too grubby using it, and that maybe it'll look pretty enough on good old YouTube videos. How are we looking? Trigger is mostly nice and clean. I think that will do for this. Okay, let's brush some of this mess to the side. Don't think I need the wipes anymore. And then I think what I might do next is just show you guys the state of play inside it. So let's I did these up tighter than I thought. Let's crack these open. Something I do like a lot about this particular screwdriver. Not only is it extendable, but you can slot it in there as well. And that might be the better option here, using it as a T-handle. I could use my drill, which is nearby to hand, but then it's dealing with the noise of my little impact drill. So it's, as we don't have to for this video, why should we? For anyone wondering, Resto Dog is asleep in his crate, so he will not be on the video today. Apologies for any loud breathing or sniffing. I am still absolutely full of cold and hay fever as well. I've taken lots of medication for it all, but anyone who deals with all that knows it'll only go so far. Yes, I am just making my life harder doing it this way, aren't I? Apologies, people. Apologies everywhere. I'm British. I'll apologise for everything. Eventually apologise for being British. Yeah, I'm not one of those that think we should rule the world. But here we go. Now, something to note, that these two long case screws are going to be different to this third one. So remember not to get them in the wrong place. Otherwise you could cause real problems with your machine. And when you're taking something like this apart, you've got to be careful. Little bearings and things can fall out. And if you don't know where they go, and put them back in the wrong place, or don't put them back at all, you could be in real problems. So there's the third one. You'll note that these all have some grease on them. There's good reason for that, as we shall see in a moment. This front housing here is the gearbox. It's a division plate into the motor itself. If I take the division plate of the motor out, I'm just disconnecting the motor from the brushes, which I don't necessarily need or want to do right now. So there we go, look in there, and many of you will go, oh, that's disgusting. And honestly, that would be anyone's first thought. This would be the colour of the grease. Oh, it's not even on camera. This would be the colour of the grease as new. And this is stuff that is well used, well, caught up with some sawdust and stuff. However, this grease is still very much functional, in a working condition. I believe, if I'm careful, I can show you how the gearbox works. So currently it's in low gearing. If I take this and I turn it, it will change the position of the gears and put us into high gearing. Now, I'm not sure that will have shown up so clearly, but essentially it's raising and lowering this set up and down to different size gears on this set, which is then geared by this worm gear through the motor, and that will change the speed of your drill. But yeah, this grease and this this level, this conditional grease is absolutely fine. There's no point in me stripping that out and repacking it and so on. I would not actually be doing any good. Could possibly be doing some harm by doing so. So it's just not worth it. You'll have to take my word for the next part. I have had the core out, had a good look at it. It is in good shape. I've had a look at the bushes, which you might be able to see through the back here. And that is all in good shape too. Not the kind of thing I really want to pull out again, because it's a faff getting the bushes back onto the core the way they're supposed to be seated, and doesn't make for good on-camera action. Though mind you, neither particularly does this video, I'm sure, with how much I keep missing getting things actually on screen. So I'll pop these back. But yeah, I just thought many of you might like to see what such a thing might look like and what to expect. Because anyone who doesn't know what they're doing but is first getting into this game, and it's absolutely fine to be new at this, might crack that open and go, oh no, that's disgusting, you need to clean it all out and Then they might lubricate it with, say, a WD-40 or something that absolutely would not be enough. You know, why replace good machine grease? Machine grease is designed to last the life of the tool. In many cases, certainly this type of grease is. And just because the tool is old does not mean that it is beyond the life of the tool. I don't think this tool has seen much use at all. Certainly not the impression I got from the seller. And so, yeah, I'm quite content to leave the original machine grease in there. It makes a lot more sense to me than replacing it. Because every time I have that gearbox apart, which I probably hopefully never will again, but every time I pop that apart, I am risking putting things back in the wrong order, dropping a piece, losing a piece, all of that. It's just not worth it. Or getting a contaminant in there. You know, a small piece of metal, a stone, a screw, anything that could be kicking around. If I drop one of those gears on the floor and the grease that's on it sticks to a piece of cardboard from Resto Dog, and I don't notice and put that back in the gearbox in a moment of distraction, I could cause a lot of problems. It's just not worth it, people. If there is plenty of grease in there and it's still wet, that is basically the criteria. Unless you're dealing with stripped gears, in which case that grease is then full of lots of shiny metallic glitter, it's just not worth it. You'll do more harm than good, or certainly risk doing more harm than good. And any good service technician would tell you exactly the same. You know, there's no point doing a repack, as it is sometimes known. Yeah, so we can see that this is all in good quality shape. I know the trigger works. Like I say, I have checked that the drill itself does power up and spin. So now let me show you the kit that mine is most going to be used with. Let's pop some of these bits aside. Mine is most going to be used with this, the D980 horizontal drill stand, which is mostly used for buffing purposes. Now you look, you'll see this is new old stock. This is a part of my drill kit that has never been used, and I'm so happy with it. The powder coating on it is still beautiful, brand new. I have already had the drill mounted in it once, again full disclosure, so I do know how it all goes together. And I have had to put some beeswax on this thread. I prefer beeswax for this sort of a thread, just because it will last longer. It's not sticky, so it won't pick up too much muck from being in use, and I won't have to redo it too soon. But you'll see that the drill itself, the two screw heads from the drill pop into these two holes here, like a little awkward trying to get this on camera, so like this. And then the drill itself also has a divot in the back of the motor housing that the end of this shaft goes into. Now, it is a fairly tight fit. It is a little fiddly getting it in there, but once it's in, it is pretty secure. So let's do the showing. Let's get that in as far as to get the thread on that holding. Let's pop the drill in properly. Make sure its drill itself is seated. Now again, this is a little fiddly, but you get there in the end. I'm sure later on they came up with better options such as clips and clamps, but this is the way it was done for ages. And yeah, so you can see this would now, if I turn the camera a little, this would then have a piece that would attach on here that would then hold a buffing wheel or similar. If I just grab a piece from that related kit, Here we go, here's a piece that holds a sanding disc or a buffing wheel. So this would then just go, if I get it spinning the right way, this would just go straight on where a chuck goes. That would hold this fluffy buffing pad, and you'd use that for buffing things. Now there's all sorts. There's your typical sort of cotton buffing wheels. There's a pads that you wouldn't use so much. You wouldn't use this, is more of a sanding attachment, so you wouldn't really use this. It was just an example of how the pieces would fit. But your typical wire brushing wheels and so on, grindstones, they can go on that way. This one isn't quite designed for it, but you get the idea. I do have a larger proper grindstone for this. And I think that's mostly how mine's going to be used, because I don't have space for a proper benchtop grinder. So having this one tool do multiple jobs, while it makes it a jack of all trades and master of none, you know, this won't be as good as a proper bench grinder and buffer. The sanding attachment won't be as good as a proper one. The circular saw won't be as good as a dedicated one. For the kind of use that I'm going to be getting out of it, that's absolutely fine. I'm not looking at professional level work, I'm looking at little bits and pieces. And I have also recently discovered that I can get a wood lathe attachment for this. That is basically the idea of this, just expanded up to a lathe. And that absolutely excites me, because again, I'm working in my living room. I do not have space for a proper lathe setup, as you can imagine. So I hope some of you found this interesting. As I say, second video on the series. Thank you very much for watching Sathos Restores, and I'll see you next time. SR out.